my name is Lizzie Daly and it's day 4 of the Ocean Photography Awards, brought to you by the Oceanographic magazine. It has been an incredible week so far. Once again, I'm joined by the fantastic Will Harrison, editor of Oceanographic magazine. Will, we are 4 days in, as I say, an incredible week. What have you made of the winners so far?
Oh, they've been absolutely breathtaking, haven't they? A lovely variety, I think, is the thing that's really stood out for me so far. Starting off with Hannah's just sensational storytelling image of the turtle hatchlings heading out to sea for the first time. Kerim's really impactful, hard-hitting shot of the moray eel tangled up in that ghost fishing gear. And then, of course, Martin's serene, breathtaking shot of the cave diver. So yeah, variety I think has been the thing that stuck out for me so far.
Standout images so far this week. If you have missed any of the episodes, do not worry, you can still catch up on the Ocean Photography Awards IGTV channel, where you can see all about the winners, more about the images themselves actually captured. And of course, over the past few weeks, that panel of judges, some of the most celebrated ocean photographers in the world, have been casting their eyes over thousands of your images that are being selected to win 8 categories. And tonight's awards are all about the Ocean Adventure Photographer of the Year. So this is an exciting category, Will, very, very popular. So what is it about this category that captures people's imagination?
I think this one is probably the category that allows people to place themselves in the ocean most effectively. You know, this one's a celebration of our species' connection with that big, beautiful blue space out there, whether it's through freediving, diving, surfing, paddleboarding, kayaking, whatever it might be. You know, it's that sense of adventure that the ocean can instill within us. This award is a celebration of that.
Very exciting category then, but how do you judge a category, especially when you have so many submissions?
Well, thankfully I don't have to, but I think the judges ultimately are looking for that connection and that sense of adventure through the image. So you will see in this award more people featured within the shots, so it's less focused on marine life or conservation issues. It is about that connection between person and planet.
Well, I'm very excited for this one, so let's take a look at our finalists. Our first image is taken by Sebastian Pontezou, and you talk about the connection between wildlife and people. This captures that perfectly, doesn't it?
It really does. That's that sense of connection between the freediver, who's a photographer themselves, clearly, heading down with a camera in hand, and the humpback whale beneath. I think that's, you know, a really compelling element of this shot. There's just such a sense of serenity to this one. I really washed over by a sense of calmness when I look at it. It's a stunning shot. The sort of the mellowness of the light rays washing over the two subjects there. Yeah, it's a beautiful image. Yeah,
and kind of seeing some of Sebastian's work, it's brilliant to see this image in the finalists. It's such a wonderful capture. Love that connection. Our next submission, this was taken by Ben Thouard. It's important to say at this point that actually Ben has 2 images in this category, absolutely for a good reason. So we'll start with the first one, this amazing underwater image of a surfer taking from below. So talk us through this, Will.
I just love this sense of perspective in this shot. You know, right down on the seafloor, barreling wave overhead, the surfer just dropping into it, you know, the wake behind the board as he does drop in, the sun perfectly captured in that window just before the wave crashes overhead. I think as well it's that difference between the speed of what's going on topside, and then obviously Ben on the seabed below in a much more sort of tranquil surrounding, so that the difference between the two, real sense of adventure.
Unbelievable. Can't imagine taking that image. It's phenomenal. And the next image, again, Ben Thouard, but this is completely different. You've got so much going on here. So again, talk us through, Will.
Well, very different, obviously same photographer. So unusual to have obviously 2 images from the same photographer in the final 3, but Ben's 2 images here are just, they're so completely different. You know, the motion blur on this one, Ben's obviously topside for this rather than underwater, but the clarity on the surfer's image, you know, really he's in the moment, as that wave's crashing over top. It's a gorgeous shot. It really captures that sense of adventure.
I cannot imagine being at that moment when you've got full speed surf in the middle of a barrel and getting slow shutter speed is just unbelievable. So a difficult category for the judges, but the winner of this year's Ocean Adventure Photographer of the Year is Ben Thouard with that fantastic image through the barrel at speed. Here's Ben to tell us more about how he got that capture.
My name is Ben Thouard. I'm a water photographer and I'm based in Tahiti, French Polynesia. I've always had a close relationship with the ocean. It's only as a teenager that I discovered photography. This finalist image, I remember we were at Chopo that day and we were a lot of photographers. I looked around me, I was like, wow, we're all gonna get the same photo. The only way to make a difference is just to bring something very different. And so I just set up my camera to 1/10 of a second as a shutter speed, which is very slow for photography. I shot a bunch of photos that day, probably 1,000 photos that went to trash because they were not perfect and because it's very hard to shoot slow shutter speed in the ocean. And eventually that photo came out and knew right away that that image was definitely a keeper. It's very rewarding to have that photo win because it proves that it was worth it shooting slow shutter speed that day and missing so many action and so many photos. But eventually one photo made the difference, and that's the best reward as a photographer.
A massive congratulations to you, Ben. You are this year's winner. Now, Will, an incredible picture, and obviously there was two to choose from, but I mean, it makes sense why this was the winner. It was utterly well deserved, wasn't it?
It's just such a gorgeous shot. It really is. The judges were blown away by it, totally blown away by it. Christina described it as so pretty. Andy Mann, gorgeous. Sean said it was one of the most beautiful artistic surf shots he'd ever seen.
Wow.
And Paul Nicklin described it as a piece of art. He said, for a sense of ocean adventure, which is obviously what this category is all about, it's a masterpiece.
So massive feedback from the judges there. Yeah. So again, congratulations to you, Ben. I think it blew everyone away. And as a reminder, all of tonight's finalists and honourable mentions can be found on the website, www.oceanphotography.awards.com. Join us again tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m, where we'll be celebrating some of the world's most exquisite ocean photographs, and tomorrow's extra special as we look at the Collective Portfolio Award. I'll see you then.